The car was worth on the build sheet 140 odd grand or something like that.
Even in 2015?
Somewhere, yeah. And I honestly think that coaching benefits you.
When you're in a shootout, in a world championship, you're going into a shootout, you're against the top 5 who shot, or however many people get into a shootout. Do you take yourself mentally into a state of, like, what does that look like? Pure concentration? Do you have a routine? Have you got, certain things you need to do in order to get into that mindset?
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tweedl Pod from Sam and myself. As you can see, no expense spared on the heating. It's all about survival today.
The bill, clearly. There's no fire on.
We're testing the Yorkshire skin, aren't you,
I'm
Rob?
absolutely frozen.
Yeah, I know, mate, and so am I. Absolutely freezing. We know how to treat our guests, and pretty big guest today.
World champion.
Half decent shot. Half decent lad. He's all right, isn't he?
Well, he's all right.
This is being honest.
Mark Windsor, welcome.
Thank you, mate. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming on.
How are you, mate?
Pleasure. Yeah, good. Yeah, freezing cold.
You look rather tanned.
I was going to say a bit of a tan on the face.
Sunbeds.
Is it?
Sunbeds, yeah. No, all joking aside, no, we just got back from the European fitasc Championships in Spain.
Yeah.
So we spent a week out there. So a bit sunny, a bit windy, but sunny as well. It was good.
And you were up the top, I gather?
Yeah, got a good result. Joint 6th with a Austrian chap. Don't ask me his name. Can't remember.
Yeah.
But overall, 768 shooters.
Flipping it.
So joint 6s.
It's a lot of people.
It's not where I wanted to be, but it never is. As long as you're at the top, I'm not really... 6 is a good result. You can't grumble about it, but I don't go there to come 6.
No, you don't. No.
You don't get a medal for 6, do you?
No, you don't. No, you don't even get to stand on the podium.
Is that not,
so you're down on the front and forgotten about.
Is that not a problem with you when, in the nicest way, you are such a good shot? I mean, one of the very best in the world. Unless you win, you're disappointed.
To answer that question honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that is a...
If I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't go to...
This keeps tickling my nose, by the way.
Numbers up. Cut that out.
I'll put it on my legs instead.
Good granny there.
That's better.
Going back to what you said there, no, I don't go to just come 20th or come 6th. But
because you can win them all and you have won lots of them.
Yeah, well, I won the European Championships in 2019.
Yeah.
And... yeah, it's a very difficult position to be in, a very privileged, difficult position to be in, because you are a contender for every competition, and when you win, it feels absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But when you don't win, it's quite disappointing. It's not a wasted trip. Don't get me wrong. Don't feel like I've wasted my time doing so. But you want to win every time.
But how do you? I mean, I just find it amazing. You guys who are phenomenal shots. How do you cope with that pressure? I mean, when I go and shoot, when I sit on the plane. Yeah, if I do really well, great. I'm happy, of course. But if I don't, there's just no pressure. But for you sit on that plane, although it's, I gather, a very smart plane on the way out there. But you sit on there drinking champagne.
You know as well.
And so when you're on it, how do you even think about it, or do you just not think about it? You're just going to shoot a competition. The fact that you are one of the favourites to win it every single competition you ever enter.
Just comes with the territory, really. It's
Yeah.
just part of it. It's a process you go through, and at the end of the day, you're going to compete. But obviously, there is always pressure there because people do expect the big names, and I'm amongst them. That's not what's bit about it. They do expect people to win. You can't win them all. It's simple.
Yeah.
Pressure, you just get on with it. You deal with it. You can't change it. I think the longer you compete in any sport, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But it does get a lot easier. You certainly do still feel pressure, but you think about it when you're first getting into big competitions, pressure might destroy you. You might mess the job up. You might shoot crap. You go home, you're disappointed. But at the top level, after a long time, it does get a lot easier.
But I've seen you shoot those super finals where you have won and where you've not won.
It's sport, isn't it?
Absolutely. Are you fine now if you get into the super final of the World Sporting Championships, for example? Do you feel good, or do you feel nervous?
Yeah, it's a cool place to be, because the feelings that you go through and the emotions you go through while you're in those shoot-offs for that 20-minute period.
Yes,
there's good highs you get. The adrenaline dump you get from it is really it's really addictive, and I suppose that's part of the driver of get in there. You know,
Yeah.
you go for the emotions, you go for the feelings of satisfaction. So, yeah, it's a cool place to be. Somewhere that you'll never be, Rob.
No, I will never. I will never. Although,
He just has to keep poaching birds on grouse moors.
yeah. Very good at that. Very good at that. And what about when you're in that final? Is there anybody? Do you fear anybody in the world when you have got to shoot against them? You know, is it? Do you ever? You just don't fear anybody?
We'll break that down. In theory, what's the point in fearing somebody? Because it doesn't change the outcome.
No.
It doesn't matter if you're shooting with somebody that you regard in your head. And personally speaking, if you regard somebody better than you, that will show in your shooting.
That's why we're shit.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I scare
I'll
you.
stick with that.
I scare you when we're
There you
shooting.
go.
together.
Yeah, you do.
But if you put
But you don't
somebody-
fear anybody. There's nobody.
I
George,
res-
Richard,
I
Gebb and Miles. Doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah, look, those
You
they're-
respect them, but
absolutely you can't not.
No.
They've achieved things in sport which are admirable at every level.
Yeah.
But if you put them above yourself, that will show in the results.
Yeah.
To me, the only time that you can ever put somebody above you is at the end of the shoot, once they've beat you or you've beat them. So sports, as George has always said, sport's a great leveler. So if you think of it like that, you keep everybody on the same level.
And how are you feeling at the moment? We're at the start of the season 2024. Are you in a good place? Are you feeling when you're shooting well? You've been shooting well, I know
I feel
that.
like my
but
shooting's good at the moment. Yeah.
Timing's good,
Timing's
everything.
good. I've not done a great deal of clay shooting, as I never do over winter. What's the point? I'm going out and getting wet. But yeah, I feel good. Yeah, quite excited for the season, actually. Got a lot coming up.
Yeah, you're doing a lot this season, aren't you? I mean, you're literally going to shoot everything.
More than I've ever done
Yeah,
this year. It's
I
probably
remember you
going to be
saying.
the busiest schedule we've really looked at.
And how? And just for the audience, when you say busy, how many? So how big? What's busy mean? What does that look
So
like?
busy.
Is that,
If you look at all the majors through the season, you're probably shooting a major once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Through the competition.
So it's a lot, isn't it?
Now that's a single time you're shooting that competition. But if you look at the preparation and the fallout after, that 3 weeks is constantly thinking of that particular competition. Then once that's done, it's on to the next one. So it's not just a singular competition you're taking part in. You've got weeks of preparation, maybe a bit of practice, mental preparation. So the whole 6 months of the calendar is constantly thinking about shooting.
Yeah.
It becomes quite tiring, really. It's quite
And the one thing I find fascinating is you're doing a lot of coaching. I mean, a lot of people will know you're a coach, but there'll be many out there that don't. I mean, you're a phenomenal coach, and I guess half people go, well, it goes with the territory because you're an amazing shot. I mean, you're doing a lot of that now. Is that good for your shooting or not? Because you hear a lot of people, maybe not as great shots, but who say, if they coach a lot, they're not, they struggle to compete when they're coaching. How are you getting that balance right at the moment? Because you're doing a lot of coaching now, aren't you?
Yeah. And I honestly think that coaching benefits you.
Really?
So that's the complete opposite that the
Yeah.
usual talk of people.
Yeah,
say, "Oh, I'm
absolutely.
doing so much coaching, my shooting's terrible because I'm seeing so many clays and talking about ways that I wouldn't typically shoot and so on and so on. But in all honesty, I do think that if you think about it, if you're out, let's say you're out 5 days a week looking at clays, you're reading them with your eyes, you're speaking about them, you're breaking them down to people, that can only, in my eyes, benefit you.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Surely the more clays you
never-
see,
Well,
the
when
more
you
Exactly.
and when you watch Sam shoot, you know where they don't break.
Yeah.
So you
He's-
clearly
he's
know where not
uncoachable,
to
isn't
shoot
he?
them.
He's
Yeah.
uncoachable.
you just can't help yourself, can you?
Sorry.
He attacks because he's,
Yes, it's the
defends.
best form of defence is attack.
But no, in all honesty, when you look at it, I think some people use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a reason why they're not shooting well.
Yeah.
It can't. The only thing that it affects me, the only way that it affects me is it makes me not want to go shoot clays on a Sunday if you've just done it for 6 days previous to that day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people out there would think that because you're coaching on a shooting ground, you are shooting every day. I don't even take my gun to work with me.
No.
I don't.
So
take
how
my
often
gun
are
to
you
work with me.
training it? So
Well, I
you're
don't.
coaching 4 or 5 days a week?
Yep.
Roughly?
Yep.
I know you do a lot here at Swinton at
Yeah, just come
Churchills.
from
And
lessons.
I know
straight-
you just
straight
literally
here.
straight to lessons. So
Disturbed
that,
my schedule.
and you were there yesterday and everything else. So you're coaching almost,
There tomorrow.
and you're almost coaching every day.
Yeah.
And so what? So when you say, so how is your training going? What is your training? Is your training doing registers on a weekend or competitions on a weekend? Is that?
Yeah.
But not through the week.
No. You'll never see me shooting through the week unless it's requested by a client to join them in a lesson to demonstrate, or they want to see me shoot how I would tackle targets or just show them how to shoot a target. But even if I do that in a typical day, I would say I would shoot no more than 15 shots, 20 shots in a day. And that is not a regular occurrence. I will do that probably once, twice a month maximum. So my practice is my competition on a Sunday, really. So that would consist of 100 targets. I used to try and do 200, so 2 competitions on a Sunday. I find that it's not beneficial to me whatsoever. So sometimes I'll shoot once every 2 weeks. And the less that I do, I feel like the better my shooting is. I know that shouldn't really make sense.
No.
Yeah, it's weird that.
Yeah, it is. And I've always been the same.
Can I just say as well, that's for a man who owns shooting grounds, that's a really crap way of doing it. I think you should shoot more.
I know, yeah. Brilliant.
And anyone who's listening, don't take that rule of thumb, okay?
Yeah.
Go out and shoot more and more and more.
Yeah. Minimum of 500.
Minimum of 500 a week at least.
Churchills.
Yeah, preferably with us. Yeah. You don't have to be, but if you could, that'd be really kind.
Oh, Fennec.
Oh, sorry,
The
right.
ultimate salesman.
But where did you... Right, so you're a bloody good shot, but where's it come from?
Yeah,
talk
that's
us
what I
about,
want to know.
He's desperate to know this. I've just stole his glory. So where did it start from? Essex boy, is that right?
No.
That's what he said.
Yeah, well, I
He
get
said you dye your hair as well. Looks very nice, by the way.
got the beard today. Yeah. Sunbed's hair.
There was a lady over there laughing her head off.
Yeah.
Okay.
She does it for me.
Yeah.
Hence why she's missed us. No, so I do get labelled being from Essex. Now, I don't come from Essex. I grew up right on the very borders of Kent and South East London.
Right.
So my postcode was DA, that's Dartford,
Yep.
which is Kent. But my shotgun certificate when I lived down there was Met Police, which is London.
Yeah.
So that was where I grew up. I fell into shooting by complete accident. So I don't come from a family that is typically farming background, country background. There was where I lived, it was just rows and rows and rows of houses and estates, not very nice ones. So typically not coming from the usual shooting background. Now, how it transpired was my dad's friend, Les. I can never remember his bloody second name. We always knew him as Big Les. And he was basically a guy that just went and shot a few foxes, a few pigeons out towards Kent. He wasn't really a clay shooter. And they worked together, basically. And he invited my dad on a Wednesday, if I remember rightly, through the week to go to the local shooting club, which was JJ's in Dartford, which is still there, I believe. And my dad had no interest in it whatsoever. He just said, no, I don't really fancy it. He said, but I'll send my lad, Mark, he can go instead. So 11 years old, do you want a day off school? Yes. Do you want to go shooting? Yes. So that was how it worked. And I went shooting. It was the first time I'd ever set eyes on any form of gun whatsoever. And it was just basically, there's a gun, there's a box of cartridges, don't point at anybody. And that was my first instruction to shooting. And they just took me into the stands and let me shoot. And apparently I was very good at it. I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
And did they start teaching you? Were they giving you lessons?
No,
so you were self-taught. So did you self-teach?
Yeah. So basically, just pushing on from that, it was they saw talent in me that I never knew I had. I didn't know if I was good or not. I was just shooting these clays, and they was all funny enough breaking. And they just the guys at the local club said that this lad needs to come again. He's very, very good. So my dad got quite excited about it. Thought, we could run with this, and that was it. It was a constant thing. So every 2 weeks we'd go back to the same club, and I'd just go back, shoot again, and then here we are, 26 years later.
Good God.
Shot for GB in England, and it just carried on like that. And it was quite a saving grace, really, because where I grew up, I can't say it was a horrific place to grow up. It was quite a nice area where I specifically grew up, but there wasn't really much for youngsters to do in a way of keeping them off the streets, keeping them out of trouble. So it was quite a blessing in disguise, really, that I had something that would take me on a path that was beneficial and would keep me focused. Fortunately, through my teens, there was a lot of other shooters that I competed against that fell by the wayside due to cost, lack of interest. They kind of just fell away from shooting and never came back. Some came back and were never as good. Fortunately, I stayed in it all the way through.
You just did it
through my teens, right up to my 20s. I had a few stints where I left it alone a little bit, but I kept my hand in, and I think that served me quite well.
And what did you do work-wise? I mean, I know you're coaching now, and that's competing, so that's your work. But how did you start? What did you?
So I trained as a carpenter and joiner. That was my trade, and we used to work around various estates in central London, mostly the bad ones, on a maintenance contract, and that was what I did all through my teens into my early 20s, and that funded the coaching.
Yeah.
My dad was really good with me when we was younger because, as I say, I don't come from a family with money, and money was tight, and he put in what he had towards me to keep me shooting. And sometimes we was putting money into that we didn't have, we couldn't afford to do it. So I didn't shoot half as much as other competitors in the junior category did. So when I had to take my opportunity to win a competition, that's what I would put everything into it, basically, and do.
You must be immensely proud of what you've achieved.
I am, yeah, because as I keep saying, and I don't want to keep batting on about the same topic, but I don't come from the typical funded background, so I felt like I was always up against it.
Yeah.
Because
we have spoke about that, haven't we? Like how expensive it is just to even get to a decent level.
Yeah,
it's not a cheap sport to keep going back and doing.
It isn't. No, the initial outlay to get going at it is going to cost you thousands. And who's got that sort of money at the lower level of things? So, I'm extremely proud of what I've achieved because I was up against it as a youngster with funding, but.
What is it? The legacy you want to, you want to go and win? Obviously, I mean, you're only, how old are you now?
37.
Yeah, so you're young. I mean, you've got huge amounts of years left in you to win and win and win. But what are you doing? Anything with youngsters? Is there anything you're thinking now? Do you look at? I know you do a lot of coaching with younger children, and you're trying to help them. Do you see them? Do you see anybody from like maybe you at that age or something like that?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you look at the youngsters that I work with. There's a few. That I'm working with. I've just currently come off my last lesson with a young lad from Yorkshire up here, and he's a great young kid, and it's nice to see them putting their time into a sport and dedicating time.
And I know you've been really kind and supporting them as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
which a lot of people won't know.
Yeah, I try and help them with like bits of donations with cartridges and things. Just little bits that help because cartridges are your biggest outlay, aren't they? Really. Yeah. It's nice to put a little bit back into the sport that's given me so much over the years.
And talking of support, I mean, Game Boy is a massive sponsor of yours, aren't they? So you've been with them an awful long time. Krieghoff?
Yeah, Krieghoff. I've shot for Krieghoff now for I think just shy of 20 years. Game Boy just over 10 years.
Yeah.
I also work with Peeler Eyewear,
of course,
another sponsor of mine.
Yeah.
And Promatic, of course, just starting to get going with Promatic as well.
Good.
So.
And
obviously EJ Churchills.
I was going to say the main one.
Save the best till last.
Shoot somewhere.
Yeah, cool. Only the best, mate.
Yeah. But no, I mean, look, clay shooting, as we know, is my background. It's where I came from. It was what introduced me into game shooting and so on and so on. But where I grew up, in my innocence, when you cover game shooting and hunting, I never really knew it existed.
No,
because. Typically where I grew up, it was just clay shooter. I genuinely didn't know that people shot pheasants, people shot deer, people shot pigeons, whatever. I genuinely didn't know that people did that. That shows you where the environment I grew up in, it was just non-existent.
But you love your game shooting, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I never forget the first time I ever shot an animal. I was mortified. I was like, what the hell have I done? But the addiction to it, and obviously... it can be a little bit of a sore topic for people that don't understand it. But if you understand it, it makes it that little bit better to do it.
What was that first animal, Mark?
The first animal, I'm not proud of it. The first animal I shot was a hare, which I generally thought was a rabbit. So when I shot it and I picked it up, I said to my friend, I'll never forget it was in Sussex. I picked it up, I said, these rabbits are huge around here. It was like, it's a hare, you donut. But there you go, because I'd never stepped foot in the country. It was always just, we grew up in the southeast London area, so the only animals you came across was a mangy old fox or something in the street.
We did a podcast a while ago, and with Mark Osborne, who obviously is the grouse guru, isn't he, of grouse management, and Charlie, he talked about grouse basically for an hour. It was fascinating. I mean, we learned so much.
It was
absolutely brilliant. When we finished, Charlie, our wonderful 12-year-old cameraman, he goes, Charlie goes,
I thought he was younger than that.
I thought he was younger than that too, but no, he's 12. And Charlie goes at the end of it, it was absolutely fascinating. Yeah, there's so much stuff. So at the end of it, he goes, what's a grouse?
Are you serious?
Charlie.
You turn the camera off annoyingly.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's don't let them embarrass you. You
Yeah.
know, I come from the same area. You know, I didn't know what things. Generally didn't know what a grouse was. I didn't know what grouse shooting was.
You're not
And
the
now-
only one, mate.
No, but it's nice to speak about it because sometimes people will make their idea of what you are, who you are, and they only see you in the current status that you're in, don't they? You shoot grouse, you shoot pheasants, you go to European World Championships, and they think that that's always been the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice to talk about where I come from in that respect because it does show that it's not just an elitist sport that people with money have a pathway into it.
Yeah.
I'm the perfect example of it. I'm the total opposite end of the spectrum, and I've gone to the top of it. In all honesty, you know.
And what about, obviously you're engaged to the very glamorous lady Rachel Carey, who we've had on the podcast. What any news of when's the wedding? Have you got a date or anything like that?
I'm still asking her, but she keeps me out of reach. She won't do it. No,
Just little minx.
She won't do
I
it.
think she's scared that I'm gonna.
And what's it like? I mean, obviously with Rach and a dad and everything like that. What's it like being part of the Carey clan?
Oh, they're my kind of people, if that makes
Scary?
sense. No, not scary, but they're just very good. They're a wonderful family.
Yeah, they are.
Good,
yeah.
hard-working people.
Yeah.
Come from nothing to start with.
Yeah.
Made it very well through
Yeah.
hard work and sacrifice. They are all characters in
Yeah.
their own rights. All good.
And
Great
how
people.
But how did you meet Rach?
Let's start with Dave. So I've known Dave for.
You can't bomb the podcast.
So I've known Dave for probably about 3 years, and obviously through clay shooting. So
Yeah.
when I first met Dave, it was when I was a junior, and he was
Through shooting,
through clay shooting
on the teams.
on the teams.
Yeah.
fitasc round sporting shoots. You would get squadded with people. You'd come across them. You get talking, and Dave was always really, really good with me. He would always make time for me, you know, and I was just this little junior, didn't know anybody. Me and my dad would roll up, and Dave would always come and say hello and speak to us, and I really liked him, and got friendly with him. Knew him for, let's say, 15 years before I even knew that he had a beautiful daughter.
Yes.
How could something so
Yeah.
ugly create
That's Rachel,
something
is it,
so
that one?
beautiful? Fortunately, she got her mum's looks, not her dad. But no, I've known Dave for years, and how I met Rachel was was it the Essex Masters, or was it it was a fitasc shoot, wasn't it? Somewhere.
It was a fitasc shoot at John Dyson's,
Yeah.
and he was late. And it was this lovely sunny
You might have to
day,
move the mic a bit, Mark.
and it's when I'd first just started shooting, and Dad was really excited, so took me everywhere. And Dad said, "Oh, let's wait. It's Mark Windsor. He's a really nice lad. We'll wait for him." And he's like 20 minutes late at this point. We're all stood on peg. And then I looked down this grassy lane.
And here comes
The
Joey
stud.
Essex looking, you know,
white teeth,
handsome guy.
silver
Swaggering.
beard.
But he's swaggering down.
Oh.
He's late and he's swaggering down so slow, as if, you know, the whole world waits for him. And
Do you
he's
not know who I
singing.
am?
And I never
I wasn't
forget.
a who I am at that point. I was still a nobody.
And I never forget he was singing. I'm thinking, who is this jerk?
Singing? What was he singing?
Like, how rude. I don't know. Some pop song.
Chesney
Backstreet Boys.
Sesame Street or something like that.
Practicing.
But sorry, darling.
Oh, mate. So that's how it all
Carry
So,
started.
Rach, now you've bombed the podcast. When's the wedding?
Yeah. Why won't you?
We're going to
why
go
won't you-
Vegas, aren't we? We're going to
Yeah,
go
we're
Vegas
gonna
and do
we're
it
gonna-
nice
when
and
he can
cheap.
get me
I mean, Rob
drunk,
come in, or
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
best
No,
gr-
even if we don't-
groomsman?
Even if we
100%,
don't get
yeah.
invited, we're still
Oh,
going.
yeah. Especially in Vegas.
Funny enough, I had to
Charlie's coming as well.
Mate.
He's got to get me drunk enough first. But funny,
No, so that's how I met.
That's how that
That's how I
started.
met Rachel. And I generally didn't know that you was Dave's daughter, did I? When we started shooting, me and my friend Chris we were booked on the shoot basically, and we was late, and I didn't give two shits about being late, so I just turned up and rolled down. And fortunately, Dave did say, knowing Dave for many years before that, he's like, wait for Mark, he's a sound lad, you know, wait for him. And down we came, and then we got shooting together, and then we met each other again at a fitasc in Wales, didn't we? At Fodegler, I think. And I was a good friend of mine, Aldous Kartosius. Do you remember Aldous?
I remember, yeah.
Lithuanian friend.
Yeah,
of mine.
Lithuanian chat,
Who's
yeah.
God knows where he is. Probably buried somewhere now. But
Jesus.
he was a bit of a wild man, and me and him basically went to Wales to shoot the competition, and Rachel was there, wouldn't you? And we it was a 2-day job, so we all stayed over in a hotel and we went out for a curry and things, and didn't we? And then we got talking and things snowballed, and
there we are.
There we are, yeah.
And Rach loves the shooting, but do you coach Rach?
No.
What do you mean no?
As I say, it's like trying to teach your wife to drive. It's never going to work, isn't it? And I think she's uncoachable.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And there's this rumour of you telling her about the comb was too high for a year and her not listening to you, and then
it's
she
not
heard
true.
heard
It's
it from
actually 5 years. Yeah.
and then she
Probably
listened to another friend.
probably
and
longer than
then
that.
suddenly he told her exactly the same, and she listened to him.
Probably
Is
the
that
same
right?
thing, and then
It's
that was it.
amazing
It was,
now shooting a gun and actually it's shooting where I'm looking.
It sometimes helps.
funny that, isn't it? You know, free info that you're now paying for, but you know.
Oh,
Tell them where I took you on our first date.
Yeah. So, yeah.
this is no pressure, by the way, if you get it wrong.
The typical of, like, you know, you wine and dine, don't you? And you go out and go for a nice meal, whatever. Might stay in a hotel, whatever. We went shooting rats around your scrapyard, didn't we? It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was literally like a match made in heaven. You know, 2 people walking around freezing cold amongst waste and other stuff, and yeah, it was great fun.
Good for you, mate.
Yeah. But look, I mean, shooting. We got tracked off there, didn't we?
Yeah,
we was
we
talking
did.
about my so employment before coaching. So basically, I was a carpenter and joiner. We used to make things. Windows, doors, frames, go out and fit them on site and things all around London. So that was basically what I did to fund my shooting, basically.
Yeah.
And although it was difficult at some points, we got there, you know. And then I was lucky enough to get sponsored by the companies we just mentioned, which helps hugely.
Helps, of course,
you know,
yeah.
and then it all just.
And what do you
Start
think
to
it
move
was
from
you
there.
had as that junior that people noticed? You got a bit of a natural ability, good coordination, and what is it, do you think, that's been the key to your success?
That's what you've just highlighted there. I think is probably the backbone to my success, because any sport that I've ever took part in that needs hand-eye coordination, I've been very good at it. I could pick a golf club up and play
Yeah.
golf very, very well.
I was going to say, do you do any other sports? I know you
No.
tried running, but you fell over.
Yeah,
So that didn't go very well because
Yeah,
you injured your shoulder, didn't you? Which is
yeah,
quite a problem when you're a
talk about
world-class
that,
shot.
because
Yeah.
it nearly finished.
so you've
things.
given up running.
Yeah, I don't run anymore.
A dangerous sport.
Yeah, take up something more safe, like
Is that
shooting.
true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
let's not come back to
Right,
it.
so
Tell
let's
us.
forget the golf part then. So
Yeah.
I'm shit at golf, basically.
Yeah.
But I can hit a ball.
But it's safer.
Not in a straight line. Yeah, so 2020, April, just at the start of the COVID pandemic.
I remember you telling me about your
Can
shoulder
you
off.
stay out of it for a
I
minute?
need to come back.
No, stay over there.
This,
I want to embarrass him.
I remember you telling me about your shoulder injury and your operation and stuff, but you never once mentioned that
fell
you'd
over.
fallen
Can we
over.
cut it?
it's a
Can you
physical
go over there?
exercise is running.
No.
Dangerous sport.
We'll have to cut this part.
Why?
Just leave me alone. Let me fucking do a podcast
Yeah, but you're
for
gonna
a minute.
lie.
I'm not going to lie.
Make sure he doesn't lie.
Don't lie.
Go on,
Watch
where you
camera.
go.
Right, come on.
So, where do we start with that one?
Running. Dangerous
Right,
sport
yeah,
that it is.
Talking about sports, non-shooting. So you asked if I have any other hobbies.
Yeah.
No, I don't. During the COVID pandemic, I thought it would be a great idea to take up my time when everyone had a lot of time on their hands, to take up a bit of running, just to kill a bit of time. So me and Rachel went down to the local Ings. So I think Ings, is that a Yorkshire thing?
Ings?
Ings
What
is
is
a big
the-
lake. It's a lake.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Ings is a lake, but
Right.
anyway, so we went running around this lake, and I tripped, fell, and basically rugby tackled a boulder. Hit my shoulder on the floor,
What a tit.
completely destroyed it. So Rob just said I fell over. I actually, I did fall over, not at a great deal of knots. I was only cruising, and completely smashed it to pieces. Like when I fell over, it was a
Yeah, I remember you.
a big deal.
You have a picture of your X-ray, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
I'll
showed me.
I'll send you the picture if you want to put it on the podcast to all the squeamish viewers. But yeah, basically I fell over and broke the collarbone, it snapped. It came up at a 45-degree angle and nearly broke the skin.
Yeah,
and
that'll do it.
Destroyed quite a number of ligaments in there.
It wasn't. It's not the shoulder you shoot off. Is it?
Fortunately, it was my left
No,
shoulder. And the doctor said so the specialist that was dealing with me before the operation did say that if it was on your right shoulder, it probably would have ended your career, because the damage and I still suffer with it now. I'm not
God.
completely out of the woods. It doesn't affect my shooting a whole lot, but what it does do in the cold, I get a bit of pain in there, arthritis, and it's still quite sensitive to touch.
Yeah.
And I've actually lost all the feeling down to my elbow and my arm there from the accident.
Good God.
So that's what happened in 2020.
I
And
can't help but giggle. You calling it an accident, mate?
well,
running round a
literally
lake.
tripped over, and I wasn't drunk, unfortunately.
Is that why you you know when we shot together and you shot a 99 and the one you missed was that 15-yard driven bird and you blamed your shoulder? Was that?
Yeah,
Is
you
that
got to have an excuse.
Yeah,
haven't you?
yeah, it was that good. Yeah. That's actually a true story.
Yeah.
We all shot together, didn't we, on a registered? Mark,
But it was-
Mark shot a 99. It was like the 8th stand or something like that. And it was just like this. It was a good crosser. There was a little low, close, driven target. It was nothing. It was a nothing of a bird, was it?
It's about 15 yard, about the height that Fennec likes to shoot.
Yeah,
them at,
perfect.
you know.
Perfect height.
Perfect.
And
height for
it was the only one you missed on the whole round,
It was
wasn't
like
it?
the 97th bird. Or
It was,
something
yeah.
like that, wasn't it? Ridiculous. But no, that very nearly ended my shooting career. You know, we can joke. It's funny now because unfortunately I got away with it. But it very nearly. Let's not beat around the bush. It very nearly finished my career.
Because you won. Because that was in 2020.
That was in 2020,
and you won the World Championship
in 2021.
2021.
Yeah, so
Which it was postponed a year because of COVID.
it was, yes.
So
Right.
if it'd been 2020, you wouldn't have been competing because of
No.
your shoulder.
And
And it was postponed 1 year with us at 2021 at Wickham, and that's when you won it, wasn't it?
yeah. Unfortunately, I suppose if there's ever going to be a good time to destroy your shoulder, why not do it in COVID?
Yeah, too right.
Because there was nothing going on. So
No.
basically, I had the operation. So I had 9 screws in there, a full metal plate, false ligaments that are actually still in there, that are still screwed in, that will remain in there for the rest of my life, just to keep it all knitted and held together. And that was a 5-month period where I was completely disabled. I couldn't. The doctor said if you want full on healing, you can't do anything. You can't go out.
Jesus.
You can't knock it. You can't bump into a door. You can't fall out of bed. It was a really tough time, and it
Yeah,
in all
it
honesty,
affected you mentally. That.
in all honesty, it worried me because I just felt like what would I do?
Yeah, without shooting.
Because I'd finished my carpentry joinery career and I was full on coaching by then. I would be nearly 10 years into my coaching career, and it was quite worrying because I think to myself, something like that happens to you, what will you do if you can't shoot anymore? Can you still coach? Are you going to just fall by the wayside? You're not shooting anymore. Will you get forgotten about? All these things go through your mind when you're laid on the sofa healing yourself. So it was quite a difficult period for me, really.
Note to self: don't go skinny dipping in a lake with your girlfriend and then fall over when you're chasing her naked around the lake. That's the actual truth of the
No,
story.
there was no
isn't
skinny
it?
dipping, but the rest was true. The rest was true, yeah. No, so it was quite a difficult period for me. But I mean, I was quite proud of my record of what I achieved after that.
Yeah,
When I came back after completely
'cause
destroying the
you
shoulder,
literally
I
won
the-
everything.
I won the World Championships in 2021, and since then,
You might have just adjusted everything an inch.
yeah.
Just to
Well,
make
there's
sure
people out there trying to break the shoulder on purpose now, but no, it was a torrid time, but fortunately we got out of it, and fortunately I've won quite a few more championships since
Yeah,
then, so
absolutely.
it's not affecting my shooting going forward.
And what's the
Quite lucky.
one on your list that you haven't won yet, but you want to win, or one you have won and really want to win again?
The only one I haven't won is the World fitasc.
Yeah.
That's the only thing on the international and our domestic calendar that I haven't won. I'm not sure if I've ever even had a podium. I've come very close, but Europeans I've podiumed many times and won it. World Sporting, so the last 3 World Sportings that we've held at EJs, I've had a second, third, and a first
Yeah.
at the last 3 shoots there at the World Championships.
Yeah.
So I'm just at the World fitasc is the only one really.
You're going
that
to
I'm
the World
still
fitasc in
chasing.
America this year.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's been the first time I'll be going to America in a long time. I've not been
Yeah.
over there for a good while. I always enjoy going over there. I mean, they do it much bigger and better than we do. You know,
Yeah.
I think, don't they?
No.
On a bigger scale, like their competitions are.
Their
huge.
grounds are just massive.
Yeah.
I mean, their
Everyone
home
gets a-
ground, San Antonio, where they do a load. I mean, they have 22 skeet ranges in a line. 22 skeet ranges. I mean,
And
you
that's just
literally,
one. That's one line.
and that's one line. They've got 2 lines of them, and you look out and you just see skeet ranges for like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. I mean, it is. I think the ground is like 2,000 acres or
That's
something.
huge.
Everyone gets given a Polaris, don't they?
Yeah, literally. You can't. You've got to take
You
a buggy
can't.
to get around.
You're
them.
knackered if you walk
Yeah.
around.
Oh,
You
you
know
couldn't
they
do
do
it.
it bigger and better than us. That when you turn up in the car park, there's a mobile home there that probably costs $500,000. That's got a compartment. They push a button and their buggy, their Polaris, comes out from underneath it.
from underneath.
They rack all their guns on all their kit, all their Yetis full of drinks, and off they go. And they shoot thousands of rounds every day. They
It's
live
pretty serious,
They
isn't
live
it?
a different life. To
And
the
what do you
we
think about clay shooting in the UK at the moment and the positions it's in? Are you comfortable with it? You will see more than most.
Yeah, it's certainly progressed
Yeah.
over a lot of it, and you guys have been figureheads in helping with that progression with the competitions you hold at EJ's. I think it's in a good place. I think everything.
You're seeing lots of more people coming into the sport and doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely
Ladies,
It's definitely
I know you were teaching a lady this morning to shoot. You know, you've been teaching kids to shoot. You know, I saw yesterday teaching a lot of guys to shoot. I mean, you're seeing more people, new people coming into it all the time.
I think it's an ever-growing sport. I think it will grow as long as we all do our job and promote it in the right light. It's
And the people coming to you to be taught to shoot, are you getting people who are just going, actually, they know of you or they've heard of you as a great coach, but they're coming and they're a beginner? Or are you getting others who are all okay shots, but they want to progress to that absolute top level? Are you getting everybody, or are you just getting focused for that?
Yeah, no,
take to that next step?
I'll focus on people that are roughly around sort of from the C class upwards. So when you're looking at people that are just people that are getting into the sport, there's some fantastic club coaches out there that can bring them onto a certain level before they can step up to myself, and that will go right the way through to GB shooters, England members, and I've coached people that are British champions that have shot for GB, England, podiumed at world and European stages as well. So it goes from that point, from that lower tier, right the way up to the very top. So there's a huge margin of people there, and everyone wants to improve or get better in their own right. Some people say that they want to get to championship level. Some people just want to go and self-satisfy on their Sunday shoots. They want to go home happy that they've shot an 80.
Because you've coached some phenomenal. I mean, Ross Holmes, isn't it? I mean, is it?
Yeah, Ross Holmes is. He's
Preston boy, shout out
Preston
Rob.
boy, yeah.
Ross
over
Holmes.
He's a
Lancashire way.
phenomenal shot, isn't he?
Yeah, Ross is doing very well.
He'll win something big, won't he?
He's just come back from America. Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I think
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
He's a good lad as well. That they've got if you've got the skill, that's half the battle. You need the dedication, the grit to carry on to do it, because it's not easy to win big. There's that many fantastic shots out there now, and I think there's more than there's ever been at the world stage and the European stage. There's anywhere between 40 to 50 people that could win that first prize.
Amazing.
And I think that number has definitely grown. I'm not saying it was easier back then to win championships. I say back then 20 years ago, it's always hard to win championships, but I think now it's the hardest it's ever been.
Yeah.
I really
So
do.
another thing as well that I know of people coming to you that are quite good game shots, well, really good game shots, that shoot a lot of game, but actually going for a clay lesson, just to perfect that, whatever they want to perfect. And 10 years ago, that never happened, did it really? I wouldn't have said.
No. Well,
You must see more and more game shots coming just to perfect that shot that they didn't like.
Yeah,
Have
you-
you ever seen him shoot game?
Wiped his eye a few times at water.
No, I don't think.
he did, yeah. He did, yeah.
That's that's impossible.
Yeah.
They flew into a telegraph wire.
Yeah,
No, the old steel shot.
We need to give him stick about claiming my bird at Brigands.
That was my bird.
Ah, bit.
It was my bird. Just because you pulled the trigger at the same time.
So if we pulled the trigger at the same time, then
Yeah, but you were aiming for another one. You
hang on,
admitted
we
it.
pulled the trigger at the same time.
Which
and the
drive
bird-
was this?
and the
You
bird
admitted
dies.
it. It was on that ridiculously high one, which doesn't mean much.
Where
to
the picture
Brigands.
came from.
Yeah, where the picture came from.
You were 60 yards behind him.
I know, yeah. So it shows how good of a shot it was.
I was so happy. I was so happy when I shot
Is
that.
that
As
the
you can see
picture
by
of
the
Lustig?
picture, I must have gone, ah! It was only when he went, I shot that. No, you didn't.
No, I
Don't
didn't-
do that to
didn't
me.
Take your thunder away.
It's a strong team of guns out there.
It was a
wasn't
joint effort, wasn't it? It's a joint effort.
It was bloody high.
Probably Andy Britton who killed it.
Oh, that boy can
He
shoot.
was next to him, wasn't he?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
boy can
That
shoot.
boy can shoot.
Yeah, no, we've had some. No, but yeah, actually going back to your question there, that if you think about it, if a game shooter wants to perfect their technique, you can't do it on a game day, because you can't require the pheasant to fly directly at you and at that 40-yard, 60-yard height. So a playground. I mean,
Or
just
get the
over here-
consistency
What I mean
so you
is-
could perfect the art
Correct,
of
yeah.
shooting it at there. One suddenly might be there, one suddenly might be there,
Correct,
one
and
suddenly
you
might
can,
be
you
there.
can you can perfect
Yeah.
that over different heights.
Yeah.
Over at Swinton, there we've got a number of traps on a high tower where you can go from 20-yard right up to 50-yard and
Yeah.
even higher if you really want to push it. So, what better place to go and
Yeah.
refine your skills? You know.
Use code Rob for cheap clays.
Yeah, no, but it's there's quite a lot of game shooters out there. As I say, I do join clients in the field to see what they're doing in the field.
Yeah,
but
no.
the best place to go and, as you say, to perfect your skill set is right under the tower
On the ground, yeah.
Yeah, to get better as such.
No, it's good. I just,
And one question I've got for you, mate, is
No, keep
when
them
you're
coming.
teaching good shots, who you see, let's take Ross, for example. That's unfair, but
he's
is
going to
it-
love this airtime, by the way.
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Is he
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
love this?
How much has he paid you for this?
No, quite a lot, actually. Don't worry, Ross. We'll keep it between us. Right. But this is my competitive nature. How do you, when you see them being really good, do you go, God, I don't know if I want to be helping him too much. He's getting really good, and he's gonna.
Yeah, he's going to beat you
He's
in
gonna
the
start.
world.
No. So perfect.
I mean, I'm being stupid, but does it ever?
No.
Doesn't come into
No.
you're just coaching him, and that's it.
100%. Generally.
Yeah, because he
like-
has beaten you in a couple of, like, you know,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the Northern Shooting Show, was it, or something like that? You know, I know a
Yep.
couple of things he's won, you know, and he's beaten Dave and lots of people.
And how much, like, how proud does that make you feel? For me, it makes me immensely proud.
Yeah.
When a client beats you, and the perfect example of that specific topic we're covering now was at the British Open at Swinton,
Yes.
2021.
2021.
So
Yeah. 20. Yes.
it was 2021, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I came third at the British Open. Brodie Woolard,
Yeah.
former client of mine, second. Sorry, no, Sam Usher, former client
I
of
thought
mine.
Brodie
second.
won it.
Yeah.
Brodie Woolard
Brodie
won it.
Yeah.
He did win it. Yeah.
And then the year after, Sam Usher won it. So within
Yeah,
2
good.
years,
Yeah.
there was two firsts and a second from former clients of mine, while I was stood on third.
It's not a bad testimonial, is
So
it?
at the end of the day, like you don't shoot clays. In my own opinion, I don't shoot clays for any other reason than to compete. So I love the competition. So if somebody that you have helped on their journey ends up beating you, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's a great
Good for
feeling.
you.
And that's competition, isn't it? You know, it's where enemies on the battlefield and friends off it. That's
And
Go on then. Go
Mark,
on. You've got a question.
When you're in a shootout, you know, in a world championship, you're going into a shootout, you're against the top 5 who have shot, or however many people get into a shootout. Do you take yourself mentally into a state of, like, what does that look like? Pure concentration? Do you have a routine? Have you got, you know, certain things you need to do in order to get into that mindset?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's in a shoot-off environment. It is, as we've already covered about pressure. It's very difficult because you are going up against 5 other people that want to win, and they will shoot to their very, very, very best to win. So we know that the other 5 people are very, very capable in the physical form of beating you on a clay shoot. Mentally, there's a lot of things that you need to have nailed down to give you the best chance of beating those people. And pressure's a big thing when you're shooting off at the top level. So I've seen some of the best shots, not to name any, completely fold up due to pressure.
Yeah, I
You
have,
know,
yeah.
and it's a fine wire that you run on in those shoot-off environments. But you're always going to feel pressure. But what you have to do is you have to try and not dampen your emotion, but you've got to try not to feel as much as you would typically feel when you're shooting. As in, if you do miss the first target on the first stand, if you completely think that you're finished there, you are finished. You've got to keep pushing through it. You've got to self-coach. You've got to talk yourself through those situations, you know. And it's very difficult. It's stressful.
Mm.
Somebody asked me a question about a good while ago, like, do you still enjoy your shooting? I said, for the most I do, but I certainly don't enjoy them shoot-offs sometimes because they
No.
are very, very stressful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's in one sense it's enjoyable being in it, but it can be very, very stressful.
It's great to watch. I know that, but yeah, I can imagine being in it is not the same feeling. as
Yes, when I see them and watch them, and I've watched Mark loads of times in finals, you think, God, I'd be shaking like hell. I mean, I've never got there, so I wouldn't know. But but it must be nerve wracking, and you see them, and then the targets at the shoot are pretty phenomenal. They're not exactly easy targets, are they? They're like 65-yard, 70-yard crosses or something like that, which full-on testing targets. And they manage to control the nerves. The two manage to hit it, and then they manage to hit it again and again and again, like you've done. I just find it unbelievable.
Yeah,
you have to have that capacity in your mind, because I find that, I'm talking from experience. I have gone and completely fucked up plenty of shoot-offs in my career. And the only reason you get past that is just by keep getting yourself in that
and
same
just learning
situation.
all the time.
Yeah, the first one you might mess it up. The second one you might mess it up again. The third one you might get a result, and that's how it gets easier. And what you have to do is you have to have that capacity of mind to calm yourself down. Control your breathing. A lot of people, I see it hundreds of times when they're shooting. You can even watch, if you watch them closely, you see their chest going up and down with their fast breathing, their shallow breathing. So you can see they're under pressure. And if you was a really bad competitor, you could play on it.
Yeah, of course you could.
And that's the sport, isn't it? But it's it's.
But like for me, it's because I don't shoot competitively. It's interesting to know that, because I play sport, but I play rugby. Well, not as much anymore, but I have played a lot of rugby. But even like when you go back to golf, I play a bit of golf, and when it comes down to it, you're only playing with the lads, but on the last hole, you get in that state of pure concentration. It'll be the same with you with your race car, although you're pretty slow. You've got to really concentrate, and that's the same in clay shooting, isn't it? Like, you've got to get in that headspace to...
But the miles per gallon goes down when he gets in it. Right?
Yeah, we don't need any extra ballast when I get in it, put it that way. Yeah, it's planted.
But no, if you think about it, so shooting in theory is a singular... It's like I don't have 10 other teammates to pull me along if I'm playing shit.
All the darts lads are saying that now as well, aren't they? It's true, because you're up there on your own.
Yeah, exactly. And there is nobody there. There's nobody there to get you out of that shit situation that you're in. It's like as I say, football, rugby. There's a whole rake of other lads that can carry you, so to speak.
That's what they did in your team, wasn't it?
That's right. That's why Charlie's got a bad back. He's my scrum half.
But he's more so a sub, isn't he? But
he carries the oranges.
Hey,
he brings the
Google
oranges
my
on.
name.
Carries the oranges at half time.
Yeah, he's very good at that, mate.
But
Yeah.
no, that's where you think that's where the pressure comes from. There's nobody out there that you can look to help you when you're in that half an hour shoot off.
Yeah.
And it is it's pretty difficult, but it is enjoyable. Like I don't want to try and make it sound like it's a terrible place to be. It's very enjoyable, and it's very rewarding when it goes right. But more times than not, it doesn't go right, and you've just got to deal with it. You've just got to get on with it.
I'll tell you another thing I was wanting to ask you about is because that's quite heavily televised on YouTube at the time. When you won the Range Rover, was it the Stratstone Ultimate?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was a hell of a prize
that.
for clay shooting, wasn't it?
That was in 2015.
Yeah,
so nearly 10 years ago.
Flipping out.
That's scary, isn't it?
You had to shoot 24. You shot 25 out of 25, didn't you?
Yeah, so the competition was so there was two parts to that competition. There was a 50 sporting, which there was a Rolex watch up to win, and then there was the 25 bird high tower challenge down at Royal Berkshire to win they called it the Stratstone Ultimate one.
Yeah,
and there was a petrol V8 Range Rover autobiography. It's a right mouthful that up for prize, up
brand new.
Of you could spec it up.
It's a proper prize, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you look at that as a prize, you would naturally look at that and go, no one's going to win that. No one's going to win that. And it was these targets were high, fast, and it's a sequence. So it's not like you stand there and you call each individual target off. Once you call for the first bird, you have to keep up with that sequence. So it's a constant flow of 25 targets.
How many times could you have a go at it?
Through the qualifying section, through the year, you could go as many times as you want.
Right.
You would have to shoot a minimum qualifying score of, say, 21 or 22 to then qualify for the final, which was at the end of the year. And on that final day, you only had to shoot 23 out of the 25 to actually win the car.
Flipping out.
And it was, I mean, these aren't steady targets. I'm talking
They were rockets. I shot it.
40 to 60 yard big midi crossers, pairs.
How do you memorise the sequence?
No, because I don't in that particular year I'd only been down there twice to shoot it. So, I mean, even if you memorised it, would it help you? No, because it's just that they are all very, very difficult targets. And I actually shot 25 straight.
And did you not switch
with 25 cartridges? Because obviously 25, it's the odd number. There was a single use target that you had full use of the gun, 2 shots if you needed. And it was a looper coming off the edge of the tower, and I hit that first barrel.
Did you not stick a black gold in or something for the last?
No. So I, at the time I was shooting. So I've been sponsored by Game Boy. I was shooting the old black gold, now currently called the Dark Storm.
And you took the white gold, then is that
and
right?
I took 2 white golds down there because in my last my 2 qualifying rounds, I'd shot. By that time I'd already qualified. I'd shot 20, and out of the last 2 targets, they were quite slow driven. I'd overled them. So me, in my mind, whether it helps you or not, I took myself 2 white gold cartridges to take for the last pair,
just
to put in as a reminder to say don't bloody overlead them. And if you look at that mindset, to do that, I'm already expecting myself to have already shot the 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So,
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. The night before, when I went down there, I dropped a Greek client off at Heathrow. We was coaching in, I'm sure he was down at Churchills actually, coaching around London. Dropped him at Heathrow, went and stayed the night before to go and shoot the Royal Berkshire final the day after, on whatever day it was. And I never forget, when I walked into my hotel, I took my single box of black gold and stuck them on the radiator.
Did you?
And left them there all night, just to warm them in
That's the
preparation
secret.
for, whether or not it makes a difference, it probably doesn't.
Well,
But yeah, that was what I won.
amazing achievement.
The car was worth on the build sheet it's like 140 odd grand or something like that.
Even in 2015?
somewhere around that. Yeah, somewhere.
Nora.
I
Did
remember
you keep it?
You sold it to Dave.
I remember when I specced it up.
No.
So
Sold it to his father-in-law.
So you had an unlimited spec on it.
145.
There was an unlimited spec on it. So I mean,
Did you just tick everything?
to get it up,
Tick, tick,
and
tick,
I'll never forget. I was looking for that extra. I looked down, and it was like larger water washer bottle. Yeah. To make it bigger, it was like
To be
50
fair, that
quid. It
is-
was like, yep, I'll have that. I'll stick the price up.
Mega handy.
Yeah. And that was. A lot of people still say, they go, you only got to keep it for 6 months. I was like, no, you
It
win
was
the
actually,
car. You win the car. So for like a 50 quid entry to that competition, and also as well, after I'd shot the
Nearly as good as a Tweedl comp, isn't it? when you
nearly,
look at it?
yeah, nearly. But after
Not
I'd won
quite.
after I'd shot the 25 straight, I was all singing and dancing still in my head, like, this is amazing. I've just won a car, nearly 150 grand. We went to shoot the 50 bird competition for the Rolex watch,
And you won the watch.
and I won the watch. And there was various other squads going.
You'd be
Not a bad
fuming,
day
wouldn't
out,
you?
wouldn't you?
Well, I shot I think it was like 45 or something like that out of 50, and I thought, no way is that going to win that. Somebody's going to win that on a 48 or something like that. And Steve, I forget his second name, Steve, one of the guys, had a radio in his hand, and he said, "Oh, we'll just check with the other squads to see who shot what." And I think Ed Solomons was second to me by 1, and he radioed through, and it come back across the radio, "Oh, Ed's shot 44," and he knew that I'd shot 45. He looked at me, he said, "You've had a fucking good day, haven't you? A Range Rover and a fucking Rolex at the same day."
Is that the watch you've got on now?
And that one there, that's
That's
the
Is
one
it?
there,
The
yeah.
Submariner?
And do you know, I never ever take it off. I wear that everywhere I go. I shoot with it on. It's just
Proper
the only
prizes,
thing.
eh?
The only thing left from the comp. Car's gone. Car's in Hong Kong somewhere, I think.
Well done, mate. Well, good.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Thanks for coming on the
Cut
pod,
that in.
Mark.
No,
Thanks,
it's been
mate.
good.
Thank you very much. Really
Good
good
to
to see
see
you,
you,
buddy.
man.
Good luck this year with everything.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
done.
Yeah.
another World
Lovely,
Championship coming home.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
Yeah, if you're listening or watching this on YouTube and Spotify, please subscribe, like it and share it and all that sort of stuff. New episodes live every Sunday at 1 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on, Mark.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Thanks,
We'll see you
everyone.
later.